This episode of the Siam Hockey League News is brought to you by the Big Chili magazine, where in this issue there's a great article titled How Ringmaster John Nutt is Challenging the Heavyweights of Mixed Martial Arts with His Action-Packed Full Metal Dojo Shows. So we've just finished off week 13, and we have a special surprise for y'all. We have Harrison in the studio, and Harrison, congratulations on being the first ever player in the SHL to reach 100 points.
Thank you.
And you're actually at 101, right?
I am, I believe.
Yeah?
Yeah, that last game really pushed me over the threshold there.
Congratulations. So how's it feel?
Good. I mean, it must mean I played more games than everybody else. So
Not necessarily true, but I would say there's a lot of people who's played as many games as you, but you have more points between assists and goals.
Yeah. The big help, sorry, Corey, that you're hurt, but Corey is like 2 points away with half as many games.
Yeah. So
hey, fortune favors the healthy. I don't know.
yeah, but you missed part of a season because you had a broken foot also.
Yeah, that's true.
Last year, yeah.
Yeah.
And I was just looking at the stat line. You are not quite at 1.25 point per game player. So the words couldn't come out. So I mean, what I'm trying to get at is that, it takes consistency over a long period of time. It's not just, as you say, you've been healthy, you've been a quality player. We've got some players who right now are producing at about a 1.5, 2 point per game clip. Can they sustain that over multiple seasons as you have?
And will they be around for multiple seasons?
Correct.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. I mean, this year, the league's gotten so much better. It's been hard to sustain that clip. If you guys have kindly noted how I've stayed off the score sheet a couple of weeks.
Well, this is it's true. You guys don't necessarily wind up on our stats page, but something that Dom and I have been increasingly discussing is we wish we could get some more additional stats, things like face-off wins. Yeah. Now, you're not doing as much center play this season, but you and Jesse, especially if we're just talking specifically about KCG, often would do things that won't necessarily put you on assists and goals, but are clearly contributing to the team and helping for the effort and why you guys have the second best record in the league.
Right. And I think at least for me, what switched last year was when a lot of the Thai players came in, when guys like Patrick were playing full-time, Hideki was playing full-time last year, and this year with injections of guys like Jan and Kim and, Ken's playing full-time, those guys are driving the bus, and my role, Jesse's role, like, we got to switch. Sometimes you got to not be the guy going for a breakaway and just, hunker down and play D every now and then.
How does that feel for you? I know you're a very offensive player. I just know that from playing against you quite often in Shinny. You have to how does it feel to step back or not take that face off or whatever?
I mean, scoring and being part of the offense is fun. Like, that's the fun part of hockey, which is why Shinny is great, because you don't have to play defense. But
I know you don't.
But in a game, and especially last year and this year, like, I intentionally picked a lot of young Thai players because I want them to get into the league and, like, become better hockey players. And as the captain, if I'm flying the zone, not playing defense, it's not really setting a good example. So I feel like I'm okay with that role because I think that's part of the duty. So,
and I have noticed that you are very much a more defensive player this year. Not defensive, a two-way player, more so this year than you have in the past. But I think, as you had said, a lot of that has to do with we have a more influx of the young Thai players this year, and whereas in previous years it was more about let's see how many goals we can get. Whereas this where you can't do that this year.
Right.
So.
Yeah, you got to focus on defense. And at least maybe if everyone's not playing a complete game, the balance has to be the team is playing a complete game. And we've struggled with that, but I think we're rounding out.
Well, there are teams that are struggling with playing a complete game or playing as a team, which we'll get into. So. But
on that note, just really quickly, one other intangible I would say is it is very noticeable as well to see your leadership qualities. And I mean that genuinely. You have some teams where guys will try and lead by example. Some guys are more vocal. And I will say that with you specifically, I am always hearing you chirping on the bench, rallying in a positive way. Rallying your guys up, just pointing things out, saying, hey, guys, like, okay, for example, in this past game where you guys were the victors, going into the third, you say, hey, guys, like, make the smart plays, right? We've got a lead here. Like, hey, if you guys have one guy going forward, communicate about it, keep one guy back, right? Let's maintain this. Let's support Leo. And you can see this week after week that you provide these, as we talked about at the start of this clip, not necessarily score sheet data, not necessarily on the stat sheet, but you're doing a lot of the things that a leader should be doing. So I want to point that out.
Yeah, thanks. You know, what's that old great saying? Those who can't do, teach. So I certainly know
I disagree with that
As
old
two
sentiment.
teachers are sitting here next to you.
Yeah, but like, you know, I'm on the bench, and I know I physically can't like take over a game, but if I can try to motivate the guys to play just a little bit smarter, or maybe see the play a little differently and communicate to them, and maybe that's effective. And I think it has been.
I absolutely would agree with that. I mean, this was one of the things I noticed. I think it was in the second game of the season where I forget who you were playing. I think it was against Aware. I could be wrong in that. And it was like, Aware, they were just so quiet. And you're over there going, come on, guys, let's go. We can do this. And it was just like, I noticed that. I was like, that's what captains do. Because, I mean, you hear Freeson, he does the same thing. And Jordan has started doing the same thing. So,
you know, I can't believe I'm going to give this guy any credit, but I did learn a lot from Brad. You know, sorry, Brad. No, I did learn a lot from him in just like how to motivate players, you know, and how to get guys excited about being at the rink, being on the team, and winning. You know, that was good. It was someone good to learn from.
I would agree with that. I mean, he was consistent throughout his whole time in the SHL, and then it paid off in his last season. So,
unfortunately, at the expense of one person here.
All right, so let's go ahead and get into the games here. In our first game of the night, we had Aware facing off against KCG.
Yeah.
This game started surprisingly, in the sense that Aware, who has, you know, just for whatever reason, they've kind of been snake bitten all year, and Scott, who was my color commentator in this game, and I both remarked at how pleasantly surprised we were at the pep that they had. Before the game, I spoke with Captain Justin St. Denis and John Chignosky, some of the other leaders on Aware, and they had changed the lines up a little bit. And you could see that this kind of influx, this little change in how they were playing, really gave them a pep in their step, as I said earlier. And you guys, in my opinion, just came out a little bit flat.
Yeah, and that was actually something I had specifically said not to do in our pregame skate. But, you know, I think, you know, they scored a shorthanded goal, and that's always a sting.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, that was a great goal. Roger with an excellent
Roger
play.
is definitely going to get the Rookie of the Year this year.
16 years old.
Yeah.
And he's playing with some guys who have a decade of experience on him. And
Decade plus.
Yeah.
And now, I mean, his goal. I mean, Brandon made a great outlet pass, and Roger did the rest with a nice. I think he kicked it to his stick and just sniped it top shelf right away. But you know, from our perspective, you know, we're coming out there with a power play, thinking like, right, let's get on the board and let's start the steamroller. But when you get stung like that, it's sort of like that is the immediate wake up, and that was like 6 minutes into the game.
Yeah. So, and then you guys did eventually answer back with just over 6 minutes left in the game when you had Pann.
Yeah.
Pann.
Pann's first goal of the season, you assisted on the goal.
Yeah, I just like careened it up the boards, and as I'm going to the bench, I see Pann going down the wing, and as I'm like, I can tell he's going to get a shot, so I stayed on so I'd get a plus, and it ended up working out.
Sometimes you got to do that.
Yeah.
Trust me, I do that.
Yeah, but it was good, man. Pann's been playing. I mean, he's young too. He's 16.
Yep.
He's a little guy, but he's been playing with a lot of energy. Jesse and I play with him all year, and it's good to see his hard work finally pay off. I know a lot of times he's been in the right spots, and I know I've failed to give him a good pass. But he's been a solid guy all year. Good to see him on the board.
It was just a good play, as you said. Sometimes a simple play works. He fed it along the boards, and he just cut towards the net. Sometimes this season you've seen teams who struggle offensively, and they either make an extra pass or they try and deke. And Dom and I always just kind of preach simple play. Put the puck on net, crash the net, try and do these things, because if you take yourself out of that high-scoring area, you're going to lose the opportunity. So I was happy to see that on that play specifically.
Yeah, me too.
And then just 2 minutes later, they took the lead again. Roger.
Once again, Brandon Pick.
Assisted by Brendan. So what was going through your head at the end of the first period? I mean, you guys are down 1-0. by 1, so it's 2-1.
Against Aware.
Against Aware, yeah.
Nothing
Yeah.
against them. It's just, as we've all know, they've had a tough season, so it was just kind of a surprising
They
position.
do have a period or two where they play really well as a team, which obviously in the first period they did that in this game, but
Right. And, what I had said in the pregame little huddle was we played this team last week, and we dominated that game. I think it was 6-1, 7-1.
Mm-hmm.
And if I were in Justin's shoes, and I'm sure what he said was, let's not lose tonight. Let's get a comeback win, or let's even the series here. So what I told the guys was, like, let's come out firing. And when you're down 2-1 at the end of the period, it's like, hey, when we don't come out firing, this is what happens, so let's not do that anymore. And I think the team got the message. And, we had some penalty trouble, I think, right?
you only had the
really
one
just-
penalty
Oh, no, we
from
didn't?
Mel.
Okay, it was just general trouble.
Yeah, general trouble. Well, in the first period, general trouble. But, I
Yeah.
mean, the penalty that you did have was in the third period, but I think it was pretty much
It was
already
Mel, and
decided.
the game was already decided.
Oh, yeah.
What really happened, in my personal opinion, is Aware. You guys also in that we haven't mentioned his name yet. Leo statistically all season has been his solid rock self, and I think that they kind of took him by surprise a little bit. Give credit to Roger, played really well, but essentially after that point, he shut the door for almost the rest of the game. You guys
In a
played
big way.
much better defensively. The first period, you guys, as we talked about, were a little bit sluggish. And what is the best defense often is a good offense. You guys did a better job of maintaining puck possession, and you really, as you said, came out with a bit more fire and put the heat on them.
3 goals in the second period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you got one from Poon,
Yep.
second year in the SHL, and then you had Jan, who's quite a standout this year.
Yeah, that was a really nice goal. I don't know if you guys remember.
Yeah.
He just knifed through everybody.
It was.
So somehow found space to score.
Yeah, well, I've talked to a couple of the players, and Jan, they tell me Jan is one of the hardest guys to defend against because he never stops moving.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not a forward, so when I play forward, I'm sticking myself in front of the net, and I'm forcing that defenseman to move me, which in turn screens the goaltender. Okay? But Jan is always on the move. And I see it on the sitting up in the score box. He's always moving, so.
He is, yeah. It's smart, too. He keeps his feet moving, and he creates space for himself and others. Because give this guy time, he's going to shoot.
Yep.
And if you come play him, he's going to find an open guy. So that was it was good to, he missed the first couple games in quarantine, but it was good to finally get him on the roster and see what he was made for. But he told me that when he was playing in Sweden, his role was more of like a third, fourth line grinder guy. And you can see how, he brings that energy to every single shift.
Yeah.
He's not like coasting or
No.
resting on his skill. He's working hard for every single on every single shift, and that has too been motivating for our team, especially the young guys looking at him.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. And I will mention just recently, since you picked him up, combining Jan's grinding two-way play with Patrick's skill has been very solid for you guys. I think you guys are going 3 games in a row now, scoring about 7 goals.
Yeah, that was
Six, 7 goals.
There was one game where I was like, let's split them up and see what we can do, and that was like 5 minutes of that before we put them back together.
That happens.
Yeah.
And then Jesse gets back on the score sheet, which is always nice to see. Jesse is one of the most... It's funny, off the ice, everybody talks about Jesse as an underrated player. We can't ignore him. But as soon as everybody gets on the ice, it's like everybody forgets about Jesse.
I think part of it's his stature. Jokes.
I don't know. I have Jesse on my team in the BIHL. I specifically recruited him. And playing against him, Jesse's not a guy I forget about, because if you do...
He's going to burn you.
Yeah.
And he's in excellent shape.
Yes.
So, he's always getting back in the play, and even if he's down low defending in our zone, you pick your head up, he's there joining you on the rush.
Yep.
And that's how I think this goal happened. I think Bond made some moves, and, who's there for the rebound right there, unguarded in the slot, is Jesse, because he just knifed up the middle.
Yep. So, and then we get into the third period, and you guys add 2 more to your tally with a goal from Peem. Well, you guys acquired him in that little mix-up with not mix-up, but the little shifting of teams, with Kim going to Aware in the hopes that it would wake them up and play as a team. Good, solid player there.
Yeah, Peem's an energy guy. He's been in the league 5 years.
Yeah, he's been here from the beginning.
Yeah, he was. And we played him in the first couple of years, Spitfires. We were playing together. And he's definitely, grown as a player. He's been a guy, he's always been fast, and he's always been an impact guy, with energy. And I remember last year when we were playing in the finals, I think Brad had instructed Peem, just don't let Yeen get a shot and just get in the way, and it worked. And, he's able to do that because he's fast and he's got good hockey sense. So we're lucky to have injected him into our lineup.
And he's not a small guy either.
No, he's
he's got a decent size for a tie skater.
Yeah, he's got a good attitude too. He's a funny kid.
And then Patrick with the final goal of the night, assisted by Jan. So
yeah, and we've noticed we've only mentioned KCG here. Aware just kind of I don't know whether they kind of surprised themselves with their strong first, and then it just kind of evaporated in 6 unanswered goals, and or not 6, excuse me, but 5 unanswered goals, and that's pretty much all she wrote. They came back at the very end, last couple minutes of the game. We had
Justin
a couple goals by
goals,
Justin.
So.
Well, I had one of those.
Yeah, I remember you talking about that. I want that goal.
Yeah.
So
anyway,
from our perspective, when Aware's coming out hard and Aware's coming out and putting up 2-1 at the end of the first period, that is indicative of the skill that they have. And if you give them an opportunity, they're going to score. Right? They got a bunch of guys who can score and can play well on their team. And in that first period, all they needed was a couple chances, and they have 2 goals. So I think for us, it was let's tighten things up. Let's get back to basics and not give them those chances. And even there in the third period, their 2 goals came off some of the few chances that they had.
Yeah.
So
part of that, I wish I had the exact numbers of the per period shots on goal, because I remember remarking during the game with Scotty, just looking at the scoreboard, and it was, I think, around 5-1, 6-1 at this point. And I said the real reason was they just didn't get enough shots on goal against Leo. Leo, as we've talked about time and again, does not.
They get the
hurt
shots. Aware does shoot the puck a lot, but one of the problems is it's into players.
That's true. A lot of block shots, a lot of missed shots.
There are more block shots this year than there has been in previous years. Guys are putting themselves in the shooting lane. So,
and Leo they had a few grade A chances, a couple 2-on-1s that Leo really bailed us out.
Yes,
this could have been a very different game if we have a different goaltender in that. So Leo gets a lot of credit keeping us in.
And our Rolling Stone Pizza Player of the Game went to Pann. Well deserved. So.
Yeah. 3-point night.
Yeah. It's good to see him, pick up the offense here. He's definitely deserved it. Yeah. He's been working hard all year.
And here's my interview with Pann. I'm here with the Rolling Stone Pizza Player of the Game, Pann. Congratulations.
Thank you. So we working well on both offensive zone and defensive zone tonight, and everyone trying to get the goals as much as possible. So good game tonight.
It was a tough first period, but you guys came back in the second?
Yeah. So in the second period, we try to work harder, skate more, and we've got it all.
Excellent. Well, congratulations again.
Thank you.
And in our second game of the night, we had the #1 Novotel Spitfires facing off against Siam Mandalay. One of the things Jordan wanted to do, well, before we get into that, you talked earlier about how some of the Thai players have changed their style of play. Mm-hmm. And one of the people I've noticed last year to this year was Mankorn. So,
yeah, when the league first started, and Mankorn's not that old, so when he was playing shinnies and he was coming out, he definitely had the skill. Mm-hmm. He had the speed and he had the hands, but his hockey sense was still developing.
Yeah.
And I think over the years, especially with Johanni coming in, and I remember specifically Patrick telling me that he worked with Mankorn a lot about getting just some of his awareness up and using his skills in a more team-oriented way. And he's one of the best players in the league right now. He's playing great.
I can remember playing in Shinny, as you brought up Shinny, playing in Shinny against Mancorn, and all I had to do was step in front of him.
Yeah.
And he was coming down the ice with his head down, going to do his toe drag. I would step in front of him, and I could stop him 8 out of 10 times. The last time he came out to Shinny, it wasn't the same.
No, he's not doing the toe drag at the blue line anymore.
So, all right, so let's go ahead and get into the game. One of the things Jordan wanted to do, as we had talked about, he wanted to not start off as in a deficit.
Yeah, I spoke to him about that the prior week in the first round of this matchup, and we plotted their comeback in the game, but they never got the lead in that game.
Mm-hmm.
And conversely, this game, the first period, they were very strong.
Yes, they were. So,
only about 4 minutes into the game, Tan get the goal.
Tan has been a star this year. I mean, he's another one of those players that's been in the league since its inception.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. So I was, because I'm going through all the stats and setting up the best of the best page. He gets points, and he's been around since the beginning. So
yeah, one thing I noticed with him over the last 2 years is he's put on a lot of size.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's definitely done the off ice training with the national team and grown a lot, and that's added a lot of like more physical elements to his game, and he's got a little more explosive speed, and he's been able to create space for himself a lot. So this year, I mean, last year he took it up a notch, and this year I think he's taking it up too. I mean, he's a real impact player.
It's been really good to see. He has a really nice two-way game along with his line mates. This specifically, I think he was a match with Ernesto, who, great bulldog. He just doesn't quit. So him getting the assist along with Yeen. And so in the first period, Siam Mandalay playing hard, kind of surprising us. It's a 1-0 lead.
Yeah. Yeen, talk about his game changing. He's become more of a physical player.
Yeah, he also is just, when he came back from quarantine, I don't know if you saw him, he dropped like a couple kilos.
Yeah.
Looks like Captain America right now.
Yeah.
He's a big dude. And he's less reliant on, let me just shoot because I have the hardest shot in the league. It's much more heads-up play. He's getting involved defensively as well.
Mm-hmm.
He uses that same size. His poke check, because he can reach around guys so well, he does a really nice job.
That's one of the things that I love, because I'm a poke check guy. I mean, we played on the same team last night, but I love guys coming down, and because I'm not a fast skater, they think this is easy. Bunk. Oops, sorry. And Yeen is really starting to do that a lot.
So, similarly, we heard some fire on the bench for Novotel. Captain Mike Freeson rallying his troops, and they came out quickly.
Yeah. So less than 5 minutes into the second period, you've got
Michael White
sub getting a goal assisted by Ken Kindborn, and as we just talked, why are you shaking your head over there?
I think Ken may have paid someone for that assist.
Okay. So, in your opinion, who got the second assist?
I don't remember, but that was a goal where Mike White has subbed, I think, for every team this year, and
yes,
he scored in every game from the exact same spot. And that was another one. That's his spot in the ice, like right around the net. It's great. He's there to deposit those backdoor tap-ins.
I've discussed this as well with you, is you have some of these players who use their experience to their advantage. They might not have the same speed or the same skill. Scotty Murray is another one. Scotty Murray is 3 times the age of some of the players on the ice, and I mean that with all endearment.
That's generous.
But he is very, very smart about how he utilizes his skills. Scotty Murray has more points than some of the younger guys in the league because he's very particular about knowing when to take his spot, when to pass. And Michael White is one of those guys as well as a sub.
Mm-hmm.
And then with the second goal, Mr. Golden Hands himself, Freeson, assisted again by Mancorn.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And then a backbreaker, less than a minute left in the period. Again, Freeson, set up by Ralph Dittmer. He's had a really solid few weeks, Dittmer.
He has. I'm really impressed with Ralph's play since we've come back from the quarantine. So.
Yeah, he's a thorn to play against.
As well as
he's
Freeson.
Big and physical, Ralph's effective.
He's. I love having him as a defensive partner. Right. So, Then we hit the third period, and we have Seb Verdy just notching up points since the break. Wow, what's going on there? Do you know?
No, Seb, I think this is his first year full-time in the league.
Yes, it is. Yep.
And, it does take some adjustment finding chemistry with people. And on a pure skills basis, Seb's a very good player. He's got a very good shot. He loves that slap shot. But he's also got a deceiving wrist shot, which I think is how he scored. I think
this one was a wrister.
Yeah, so it's good to see him find his role in the team and be able to use his skills on get on the score sheet as well.
Set up by Stasny and Ken again. Depth on this team. I mean, we just talk about it every week.
Everybody has depth. I think the biggest thing is, as Harrison has alluded to, getting your team to play as a team, and
find their roles. Yeah,
finding their roles. So, and then the fifth goal for Novotel Spitfires, Ken notching another point. So,
assisted by Freeson again.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys remember that one. That was when he busted down the wing like McDavid.
Yeah.
Tucked that upstairs on Dream. That was a nice goal.
It was a very nice goal.
Give credit where credit's due.
Sure.
So, and then with less than 5 minutes left in the game, we had Major.
Another guy who's really picked up his game the last month.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's come back solid. I think it's 3 games in a row now.
With a
4
goal?
goals.
Yeah, it's been the one game.
3 minutes.
Yeah, the first
his
5 minutes of the
shifts,
game. Yeah.
and this one conversely was the end of the game that he pops on the score sheet. But wow, what in both of these games, what a contrast between the first period and the latter 2 periods.
Yeah.
And for the star of the game, which was kind of difficult for Siam Mandalay, it went to Tan Limpinphet, but the Rolling Stone Pizza Player of the Game, this was a no-brainer. So
Freeson, just so strong, so dominant, both as we talked about on ice production, but similar to Harrison sitting next to me, he knows how to get his guys fired up, how to pick them up when they're down in this game in the first period, after the first period, and leading by example with his play.
Yeah, definitely.
I took some notes because I was doing the commentary.
Yeah,
so I was on their bench. I was taking some notes on what he was saying to his guys. But the rumor was that Mike was a little angry he hadn't been on the score sheet last week, so he came out with some intensity and put it on display.
He definitely did in the second period. So
that's a guy, when he wants to score, he can just score.
And furthermore, he and Stasny both, at least 2 to 4 times a game, just such a good job of picking your pocket and going the other way on a breakaway or an odd man rush.
You talk about those two, but everybody forgets about Kristoff because he's been away.
He was away for
hurt,
a while.
man.
It's true. That's true.
Had an upper body injury, and now that he's back, everybody's kind of like, Kristoff, whoa, so.
Yeah, not great that he came back from a KCG perspective, but yeah, he's someone you also always have to watch out for because he comes at you with not so fast, but you blink and he's behind you.
Yeah,
he's got really quick hands down low, as a defenseman too.
And here's me with the interview with the player of the game, Mike Freeson. I'm here with the Rolling Stone Pizza player of the game, Mike. Congratulations.
Thanks. Feels good to be back in pizza company. Oh no, it's the wrong company. Rolling Stone.
You guys are on a bit of a roll right now.
Yeah, we're finding ways to win. It was I don't know what to say. It's working for us.
Last 2 games, you've got 7 goals, 6 goals.
Like I said, it's just working. We can put the puck in the net. We just tonight we focused on keeping the puck out of our net, which is nice for a change.
Excellent. Well, congratulations again.
Thanks so much. Have a great night.
And here's Maddie with the Jerky Monster Play of the Week.
What is up, my fellow SHL enthusiasts? This week's Jerky Monster Play of the Week goes to Major for his sweet toe drag goal. Your Jerky Monster is waiting for you with Dom. See you guys next week.
So as we head into week 14, we have in our first game of the night, Novotel Spitfires against KCG. Harrison, what's your plan for this game? To give Novotel their second loss.
Yeah, so our games against Novotel have, maybe not all of them, but most of them have been 1-goal games.
Yep.
Certainly one went to overtime.
Just a month ago it was I'm really looking forward to this matchup. Just a brief aside, sorry, because less than a month ago now, you guys took them to overtime, and it's just by the skin of the teeth. Stasny, I believe, at the end of the game with a beautiful goal to win it for them. So you guys have been right there.
Right. And we know that. And we've talked about how, like, we can win this game. I think I will admit they have certainly the better top-end talent, but I think we have consistent depth throughout our lineup, and that's where we need to take advantage of them. If we can match and shut down their top guys, I think our bottom guys can outshine theirs.
So is that your plan, that you're gonna match players?
It depends if Freeson is watching this video or not.
I think he does watch him, but he doesn't say anything. So.
Because this is going on a month now. We've talked about how do you shut down players like Freeson, players like Stasny, players like Kindborn, players like Mankorn. And some teams have opted for a zone play, like, hey, we trust our team defense. Some guys, we've suggested, hey, why don't you just match your top defender against this person and just shadow him the whole game? And nobody's really taken that approach. Now, granted, this is also quite difficult because in the middle of the play, things can break down a bit.
Yeah.
But regardless of that opinion, this game or not, do you like that idea of man-to-man kind of a play, or would you rather have a zone play?
I think if we can get the right matchup, man-to-man would work.
Okay.
But we're talking about their top players. Stasny played professionally. He certainly can out man-to-man someone on our team.
Yeah,
so,
several guys
Jan has also
yeah.
played pretty high level overseas. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
we can get the matchup. I think we can get
Kindborn.
Yeah.
So.
I think we can get the matchup, and I think we can shut him down. Last game, Novotel did a great job of shutting down Tom.
Mm-hmm.
Then Freeson took over the game from an offensive perspective, but I think we have the guys who can we can work to shut down their top players.
Okay.
I hope. I'm confident, actually. Let me sit up straight and say that.
Because this is a really, really solid matchup, especially in goal. I have loved the play of Leo and Ben.
Two best
all
goaltenders
season.
in the league.
Very quality guys who can steal a game.
Yeah, and they're both great guys too.
Yeah,
so it's hard to get mad at them.
And they're so humble. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, it was all my team. It was all my team. I'm a Spitfires guy. I've been a Spitfires fan since day one. I think it's going to be close. I don't think it'll go to overtime, unfortunately, but I think it's going to be a 1-goal game. So
it could be. I think the last game was it 2-1 in overtime?
2-1 overtime.
Yeah, they're low-scoring games too.
Yeah.
Oh, it's fun.
So.
It's a fun. It's different than playing against the other teams.
Yeah.
And what's cool is each team has an identity, and their identity is challenging. So.
And in our second game of the night, we have Siam Mandalay versus Aware. Both of you, I want both of your opinions. What does Aware need to do to get their second win of the season? Let's start with Zack first. So,
well, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but you need to start playing as a team. I like the fact that in this prior game, they did change things up, and you saw in the first period it started to pay some dividends. But then I'm just armchair quarterback here. Maybe they caught themselves in a position that they were unfamiliar with. Whoa, how do we play with the lead now? And I think they kind of lost their way a little bit. Conversely, you guys, as you mentioned from the bench, said, hey, we got to pick this game up. And they didn't know how to respond to your counterpunch, and they just couldn't quite get back in the game. I would like to see them, as we've said previously, keep things a bit more simple. A lot of times they go for these stretch passes. A lot of times they're trying to do an extra pass. I'd like to see them crash the net, especially with their grinding line. You've got guys like John Chignosky. Sit him in front of the net. He is effective there. If you try and put your guys in positions where they individually can succeed, I think the collective will get better. Mm-hmm. You've got too many guys doing separate parts, trying to do too much, I think.
Yep.
And one guy might have a great game, but then because the rest of the parts aren't really meshing, that's where they're lacking. So I really would like to see them simplify things a little bit and put themselves in positions where their teammates can be successful.
Mm-hmm. And I think, one thing I noticed about Aware last week was I think they had picked up Moo
Yep, they had Muaz,
to fill in for
Dennis.
For Dennis, and
who's out with an upper body injury.
Right. And previously, when some of their D had been missing, they had been given forwards as subs, so people were playing out of position. And now they have 4 guys who can play defense.
Yeah.
And I think that really helped bolster their defensive line last game. And against a team like Siam, which is pretty crash and bang, you need those fortified D back there.
Yep.
Help get the puck out, not cause turnovers. Because against Siam, if you give up the puck in your zone, they're going to score. They got guys who just attack the puck.
Yeah.
And
the crash line.
Crash line is
right?
so
It's
good.
really annoying to play against. But I think I think Aware did turn a corner last week, having a more well-rounded, complete lineup because they had the right players playing in the right spot. Justin did a good job of changing up the lines. Brandon and Roger played really well together. So I wouldn't be surprised if Aware squeaks out a W here.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
That'd be
You heard it
interesting
here.
to see.
Yeah.
So
I would love to
let's get
see
some
it.
action.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
I'd love to see it. And conversely for CM, it's been up and down. That overall, they've really found their identity, as we've talked about now. Defensively, I love their team game, and Dream can do really well. It's just he himself has also had to battle some inconsistency.
Is he fully healed yet? I know when he came back, he said he was still injured. So,
But in that very first game of the season, he stopped 19 of 20 in one player of the game.
But an injury can really
I think it was a groin injury too, so
Possibly.
those things can be nagging.
He's looked solid the last couple weeks.
Yes, he has.
I haven't. We played them once, and in the beginning of the year, I remember it was like you could see he was laboring a bit. I think he got injured right before the season started.
Yep.
It was his knee, or I don't remember. But
I think it was his knee. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
his knee? Okay, forgive me.
Yeah,
But still,
anyway.
that's a big thing.
Right, but it was
as
you
a
could see his
goaltender, so.
his movement was slower, and that was a game plan. It's like Dream is clearly injured, and I think he missed a game as well. So
Missed, the first 2 games.
yeah. So he's looked really good since coming back.
Yeah.
Well, actually, all the goalies have looked really good this year. We're pretty lucky to have a deep roster.
Yeah.
Of goalies.
All right. That's all for this week. We'll see you at the rink.
The opposite was very strong. I was good.
CM Hockey League News is brought to you by Big Chili Magazine, the best read expat lifestyle and news magazine in Thailand. It covers interesting issues in Bangkok and the region while bringing its readers engaging stories and various exclusive interviews, food reviews, and more. You can find the Big Chili magazine in bookstores and online at thebigchili.com. The music for the opening and ending credits are brought to you by DJ Caucasian.